right. Welcome back, everyone. My name's Amanda Arnier, and this is the Dichotomy Diaries. And Kyree, you're the first man that we've had on the podcast that shows face.
Oh, you've had like faceless men?
I've had one of Dick's past clients who goes by the name of Kyle. And it was just audio. So you're the first, you're just out there.
Well, good.
And I love
Richard,
that though, because that's you. So why don't we just by getting started, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you do, just the 411.
Oh gosh, it's always a hard one. One side of me, I own a marketing company. I've done it for almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years in November. I've done $270 million in advertising revenue from my clients over that 8 or 9 years. But I'm at my core, I'm a psychology nerd. I love why people do the things they do, why we view ourselves the way we do. I've conducted over 1,000 interviews. I've done 65 end-of-life interviews. So I interviewed terminally ill patients.
Wow.
I was probably 19 to 21, almost 22 when I was doing most of these interviews. I just wanted to get a grasp of myself. It was a purely selfish endeavor, and it like launched me into something I didn't know was going to just become an interest of mine. I'm just endlessly obsessed with why we are the way we are. Why do I view myself this way? What thoughts cause my actions? What beliefs, identity beliefs and behaviors is what I work on with my clients. I'm also a coach, mostly for men, entrepreneurs, 18 to 30. But I help people with identity. And it was only because I was so obsessed with like, why do we turn out this way? Good, bad, ugly, whatever. From interviewing like homeless people to monks to billionaires to pretty much any type of person you could think of. I've interviewed somebody like that. And it just became an obsession that I haven't dropped yet.
That's amazing. So that was something that wasn't like a college project or a school project. You were just like, I need to know the answers to these questions that I'm seeking.
Yeah. Sometimes I would pretend like it was a college project. Like I interviewed prisoners and I had to pretend like it was for a college project.
That is the cool shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always joke, like if I knew what a podcast was back then, I'd be rich and famous right now. Oh my Lord. Like a 19-year-old asking like these deep philosophical questions, like not knowing why I'm asking. Yeah, sometimes I would pretend like people who were harder to access, I would pretend like I was a student doing it for a project, but I already dropped out of college by then. So no, it wasn't for a project, but like still kind of, yeah.
So no, do you have a formal degree or everything is just self-taught, self-gained knowledge through experience, these interviews, and then just working and interaction?
Yeah, I just started doing it really early. Again, I was 19 and then I was 21 when I started marketing. And it was really like a trial by fire. I was working like 18 hours a day, marketing, still interviewing people, trying to figure myself out, trying to figure out finances, how to like make things work and pay bills. And so it was really just by doing all of it. I have no formal anything, but I've probably like devoted more hours. Like I've devoted my 10,000 hours in both fields already.
Yeah. And psychology and marketing come hand in hand. Advertising and understanding why the customer wants to buy the specific thing. That's something that I really enjoy too. And I really am like a psychology buff as well. I think if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Like, it's just one of those things. So when you have this internal curiosity about it, like it's definitely something that, you're going to be successful with because you're always going to seek out the answers.
Yeah. And because I became successful relatively early, it removed the need to go back and get the formal education. Like the amount of people who would actually care were so few that it didn't really matter enough to like go back and get the degree or get the master's in psychology or any of that because nobody asked for it anyway.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about it in kind of like a trade thing, right? Like as a trade, you have to put in your hours and then you're your apprentice, you're your journeyman, you're like all those things.
Yeah.
Like you're like superintendent level times 2.
Yeah. And I just don't pretend to be anything else. I don't pretend to be an educator. I don't pretend to be, a formal anything. It's here are my thoughts, and I put them out there quite often, and people
Mhm.
resonate with them, or they absolutely hate them and despise me, and that's okay too.
There's always going to be those people. And I feel like a lot of those people, but that's okay. I
Yeah.
actually, the haters fuel me.
Dick liked me
Um,
though, from what I've heard,
yeah, he did. He did.
peripherally
And
at
that's
least.
funny. We should talk about that. So, um, do you recall like how we got connected initially?
I remember Jacqueline, maybe
Yes. So, Jack, my roommate, right? So, uh, you're are you best friends with him,
with
with her
yes,
brother?
yes,
Okay. Yeah. So, I remember I had met him, I don't know, like maybe 2 or 3 times, and I think I told him, I was like, "You know that you have a really great, like, radio voice?" And he was like, "No way, thank you." And then, he started posting stuff about you, and I don't remember if it was I know that I had added you, but I wasn't sure if it was at that time for marketing stuff for, like, the business that we were doing, or if it was, like, directly because of the problems that were very obviously happening, and the masculinity coaching thing was very appealing. But I do remember like me posting something and you commenting back, and you being like, "Yeah, I don't really work with people who have OnlyFans." So, and I was like, fair,
I do remember
but
this
he needs
now.
help.
Yeah, that's the thing is like sometimes those are the people who need it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I do remember that now.
it was just such a cry for help. If I can go back to that time, I just remember like I could, like, I'm a fixer, you know? So it's like
Sure.
I couldn't do anything. I was like, I see your value, but like what I saw and my potential for him was not at all what his potential, what he thought was like delusional. Like, I'm going to own the Dodgers. Like,
Yeah, that's I run into that a lot. Again, I work with young entrepreneurs, so it's the I want to be a billionaire, and they haven't made $1 million yet, and I tell them
they
shut
can't
up
keep
and go away.
$100 in their bank account.
Yeah,
How do you
I
I
think
don't how honestly do you say that without just like I
you
don't know.
don't. You don't. That's
Um
why I remember this actually in that initial conversation with you. Is you offered to pay me for him, and I said no,
yeah.
and I said I'm happy to talk to him. I'm happy to like help out, and I think I was in Vegas. And I was like, I'm happy to
Mhm.
chat with him for a few minutes and like see where he's at and see if I can give some pointers. But one, tough kind of situation to work with, and also nobody else can pay for it is the problem because they won't value it if you're the one paying for it. I've had female entrepreneurs that I work with who try to get like to pay to work with their boyfriends or husbands, and I just can't. Now, can you supplement? Can he go as far as he possibly can and then you supplement the rest? Sure. But you like them not taking that step and doing it themselves, it's just never ever going to work, or they'll just yes their way through it and nothing gets done.
Totally. And I was just so pissed all the time that there was like no lack that there was just such a lack of initiative on like being better. It was like, I'm going to say it and I'm going to go to the gym so I look good,
Yeah,
and I'm going to have these big dreams and write them on a fucking whiteboard. But like, there was no action towards it. But the actions that he did take were always so like ancillary to like actually the problem, which was like, you don't know who you are. You are a lost person, and there's a lot of trauma, and you're taking it out literally on everybody
yeah.
else.
Well, a lot of
And
the actions are in active avoidance of the problem.
yeah,
It's not just I don't want to see it. It's like I'm literally this is me trying to run away from it and making it even worse at the same time. That's where the delusion comes into.
yeah, it's it was crazy. But yeah, I totally remember that. I remember that no OnlyFans thing. And then it was like, yeah, I don't like that. I mean, really that much either. That's why I feel like he should talk to you. This really isn't where I saw my Mormon married life going, but
Yeah, I
um
remember that for sure. Because it was like I think like we'd followed each other at some point like right before your wedding, and then I'd
yeah.
gotten like bits and pieces from Jack, and then I saw you guys getting married, and I was like, that didn't line up with what I was hearing. And then I found
Yeah.
out he was Mormon. I was like, that doesn't line up at all. And then you told me like some of the stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm just confused now.
You know what's Jacqueline was actually one of two of my, yeah, so I had two best friends that, like, in the very beginning, like day 2 or 3 of knowing him, like both group FaceTimed me and they were like, yo, we
Get
found
out.
some shit
Yeah,
though. And they're like, it's either gonna be your soulmate or, you're gonna be real sad. And like they said, the soulmate thing, because like I had experience in the past with, the sugar dating and the low self-worth and trying everybody, reaching out to everyone to like fix it for me.
for sure.
And so they knew that I had the capacity for like forgiveness and like skeletons, okay, whatever, you know? Um, but none of the friends liked it.
Yeah.
Even though they said that and they presented it that way, I think it was actually in that moment like a make the right choice, please, please,
That's
please.
kind
And
of
then
why
it
you need
didn't.
like the bitchy friend too, who's willing to just go, hey,
Yes.
absolutely the fuck not. Because in the attempt to support you, it's almost an allowance to do the thing you know you're not supposed to do. Because look, they're down with it.
Yep.
They think I can handle it. I think I can handle it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you want to know something? I am the bitchy friend. And so that's why that, like I've got like two, I got one in Alabama, and it was so like she's never like physically around to like smack the shit out of me. And
Yeah.
then I have one that is in Las Vegas, and I was in Phoenix at the time, so it was all I was not really around like the people that know me the best. I was around those friends that I met within the last 10 years, undergrad and law school.
Yeah.
And those were amazing friends, but also like now we learned that kind of temporary, right? Because as soon as shit got real, um, for
Retreat.
whatever reason,
Retreat.
they
Yeah.
dipped. That's fine.
Yeah. People want to look from the outside.
Yeah. It was safer for them that way, honestly.
And that's the thing. People are allowed to do it. I think we get jaded against that really easily without recognizing like they're sentient beings that are like, they're allowed to do the thing that they're doing, whatever it is, and I don't have to agree with it for it to be an okay thing for them to do.
Totally. I do have one friend because I feel like I mean, like Jack was at my wedding, so like there was a few of them that stuck by, through and through. And, you know, I was just about to say it wasn't really that bad before we got married, but no, it was horrible. I mean,
Or you may
it
just
just
not have
got like,
known about how bad it was, right?
it
Some of it was
was
probably still under
so
the
bad.
surface.
It was, no, he was just doing shit that, like the abandonment, like
Mm,
the stuff that he knew that was like my trigger because he had asked all the right questions at the beginning
sure.
and found those pain points. That was the way that he like hurt me the most.
Yeah.
But it was weird though, because every time that he would secretly run off or, I'm going to the gym and then end up being in Vegas for 5 days, like, right after I realized that he was gone, it was this, I love you, I'm coming back, I'm doing this for us. So it was like this noble
Yeah.
cause.
It's this big coming back together, and you
Yeah,
get the dopamine, he gets the dopamine, and you continue the
totally.
cycle. Yeah.
It was not long, like the ups and downs were so vigorous and they happened so quickly because it was usually within the same hour where I felt like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just lost like everything. And then, within 5 minutes, he was like, I love you. I'm sorry. This, I have to be better. And I recognize like he would say all the right words and all
Yeah.
the right things. And, after going through that, I don't know what, 3, 5 times, you're already addicted to the cycle.
I was there.
So
I was there. Yeah. It's an addiction for both people.
yeah, it was fucking crazy. But yeah, so I had, Jack was at the wedding. I had a lot of friends at the wedding. Um, this is weird. This has been coming up for me a lot lately. I had a best friend that is mine and Jacqueline's best friend that we never even thought, like never even raised our voices to each other in I don't know how many years since freshman year. And she planned my bridal shower and my wedding and all that stuff. And after my wedding, she was engaged, so she was getting married the next year. I like never heard from her and her fiance
Mm.
ever again. And it was so devastating and actually like is still very devastating, working on it in therapy right now. But um to not have those answers. And especially like now, before when I was still together with Dick, I was like, makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that I'm separated from him and, you know, like obviously I'm doing things and bettering myself, it's difficult for me to know that she still doesn't want to be a part of my life,
And you've tried reaching
I
out,
guess.
I'm assuming.
Huh? Oh, yeah, God.
Yeah.
I've sent like handwritten letters.
Oh no.
'Cause I just, you know, like I don't know. Like I think about her and I cry. Like I don't think about Dick and cry.
The thing is, it
But
may not even be her. It may be your husband. And again, from his perspective, he's right. I don't want you
yeah,
around that. Right. I'm protecting you from
totally.
this. That's where we like, again, we're talking about perspective matters because it may not
Hmm.
even be her. She may want to write you back. She may be thinking the same things that you're thinking. Right.
Yeah.
And
You know, though, I just don't. I know her husband now, which congratulations, um, is and has always like been since we've known each other, like kind of like the dad of the friend group of all of the girls, you know,
yeah,
and we got along so well. And I know that he would kind of talk sense into me, and so would she during throughout like all of the tumultuous times of this relationship. What I don't blame them for at all is like they had a wedding coming up, and everything that surrounded Dick was so fucking toxic, and there was always some sort of drama. And like if you're thinking about your day, like
yeah. Last thing you
I
want.
would, you know, like not on your day.
Yeah. And it
They're the best
also,
people that they were like the best couple that I knew. Like so that's why I was like, you know what, I get that, and for that, like that's cool. But I do like she's been in like my dreams for the past 3 days, and it's really fucking me up because I'm like,
yeah,
oh my God, now I'm getting this itch. Like I have to reach out again, and then I feel weak, and I'm
yeah.
like, ugh.
It's an open loop, right? And
Yeah,
it just like plays with you over and over again, consciously and subconsciously.
yeah, yeah. That's fucking rough. But yeah, I mean, no. So a lot of the friends really disappeared, and that was okay. But that was kind of, I think, part of his plan and his scheme because, you know, ultimately when he decided that, you know, we were going to leave, there wasn't really like any driving factor for me to stay because I had moved so far. I was up in Anthem, you know, like the furthest ever I lived was
Yeah,
like Cave Creek.
yeah.
Anthem's real different. Like we didn't have
No, it's not
kids.
Phoenix
Like,
anymore.
yeah, I mean, you're like, you guys are in Gilbert, right?
Yeah, we just moved to Queen Creek.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So you're even further.
Even further.
One of my best friends just moved to Queen Creek. They just built a house.
Yeah,
I'm like, you guys can't get any further, can you?
it's
Santan, maybe, right?
well, we're technically Santan.
Jesus.
It's like our house is built. We just bought it. Our house was built 4 years ago. It is one of like the really really new ones. I just said
Yeah.
because I do my my work day in Scottsdale on Wednesdays, and then I play poker Wednesday nights with a bunch of rich old guys in Scottsdale, and so I
Yeah.
just need to be within an hour of the cigar lounge that I go to, and we're like
Yeah.
57 minutes away. And so I was like, this is the edge of where we're going to go. But the houses are so much cheaper here. You get so much more house for so much
So
less.
true.
It's hard to justify, you know, this house that we're in is double the price in Scottsdale. I was like, I'm okay, especially because I work from home. I don't have to commute anywhere. I commute 1 day a week, and that's because I choose to. I
Yeah.
don't have to. So it was a much easier choice.
The I've seen like the developments and stuff that because I mean my girlfriend Megan, she's out there too. And I think they built a house like, I don't know, 5 years ago, and then they sold it, they moved to Dallas, and then they came back. They're like, we miss Arizona because
Yeah.
like everybody misses it when they leave. And they end up building another house. But I feel like they all look real modern and nice, and
I love it.
everything that you can get for like around the same price in the valley is so old.
That was one thing that got me. I'm 6'6". The low ceilings got me. I
Yes.
can't do 7 foot ceilings or 8 foot ceilings. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in a little person house. I'm in a hobbit
Yeah,
house.
like you
I
literally go
can't.
like this.
No, I need high ceilings. There's no way up. Like there's
Do
no
you
way
guys
around it.
have a yard? Do you have like a big yard, or that's
Backyard.
another thing, right?
You have to have a
Yeah.
pool. It's Arizona. You have to have a pool. It's
Yeah.
118 degrees outside.
Well, that's amazing. Congratulations on that. I
Thank
have a friend who also, I think he's in Santan. He built like kind of like a modern farmhouse out there. Um, Huge property,
you. Mhm.
beautiful. I remember when he showed me the architectural plans, I was like, bro, where are you putting this? And it's like, oh, Santan.
Only
Oh,
place you
okay.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, like, all right. What cigar lounge do you go to? You go to the Cedar Room?
I go to Churchill's just south of Cedar Room.
Okay.
So it's right by that Mercedes dealership.
Yeah.
Actually literally right next to. So Americano that Jacqueline
Yeah.
manages, it's
Hmm.
right in between that and the Mercedes dealership in that little strip mall.
Gotcha. I
Churchill's
didn't know
Fine
that there was a
Cigars.
place there actually.
It's not super old, I want to say, but like 5 years maybe.
Okay.
And it's
Yep.
kind of small and hidden. Like it's one of those you have to know about it to know that it's there.
The cigar lounge thing is a vibe for me. I
Oh, it's
used
the
to go with
best.
my ex. He smoked cigars. He was a bourbon drinker, scotch, all the stuff. And I liked wine. And usually the places that have the
A
liquor,
lot of
they have
them.
wine too. Like that's all I want. So I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna go get a pack of Parliaments and I'm gonna sit here with you. And some days I would just go like, working from home, I just go sit there at the Cedar Room because we lived in DC Ranch and it was so nice. I think that's the thing that the Valley has where it's like, oh, I can just get up and go walk to AJ's or,
Anywhere.
like
Yeah.
the drive, is very short. I always tell everybody, I'm like, everything in Scottsdale is like 20 minutes away.
I'm like max.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you're in Cape Creek, you're like 40 something if you go one up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But that's the thing, even
I
North
definitely
Scottsdale,
miss
North
it.
Phoenix, they kind of have
Yeah.
everything that you would need. So you're still only about 20 minutes from just about anything. Unless you're going to Old
Yeah, that's
Town,
true.
then that kind of sucks. But North Scottsdale, you have everything.
Yeah, and you know what the nice thing is about in Phoenix and Scottsdale though too is like there actually is like Uber transportation. I mean, you go to some cities like I live in Huntley, Illinois, right? And like if I call an Uber on a Friday night, it won't get to me for like 25 minutes.
Yeah. And it's the same
And
guy.
that's just wild.
Yeah. It's the same person who picks you up and drops you off.
Yeah, it's like it's so insane. I do miss Scottsdale. I miss the heat, I miss the sunshine.
A
It's
lot of it.
been wild to not be in a place where I have mountains. Like the mountains were like my happy thing, like escape, go and hike. I'm gonna be there on Thursday, which this is my first vacation in 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So
How long are you here?
yeah, I'm there from Thursday morning till Monday evening. So I have a podcast event. We're gonna go. It's like a big group, like 50 of us, and we're gonna go see Hootie and the Blowfish.
That's awesome.
And we have a few Airbnbs in like PV, and just do like pre-party and networking and stuff. And then I just padded it with 2 days on each end.
I like doing that. Any
So
place
good.
I want to go, I try to pad at least like a day to go explore, have fun, do whatever.
Yeah.
Meet people I
Or
want to
like
meet.
leave like ass crack of dawn so that you get in and you have that day and then leave later. Like you got to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been interesting like having to be back in literally like this isn't my childhood home, but this is the home where middle school, high school, everything, where it all happened.
Yeah.
So it's very trying to heal in the same environment that broke you down for different reasons is a really, really tough feat.
Mm. Yeah, because you're still there, right? Or you're back there.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
And then you have no privacy on top of it. So you're like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, I heal around at least some of the people who contributed to it.
I think that there's like a silver lining in it though, because I'm so like dedicated to being better and like not continuing on like the generational stuff that I've witnessed and I've experienced. That I think that like I a little bit rub off on because I live with my mother and with my grandmother. She's here half the year.
Oh, wow.
So there's like 3 generations of women that are just like at each other all the time.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, they said they're like orchard apple tree or orchard tree apple. And like me as the apple, I'm always like, no, I'm not going to deal with that passive aggressive stuff.
Yeah.
You can talk to me right now. Like I'm like
Yeah.
being all therapeutic about
Thank
it.
you. No, thank you.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about you. So you know how like everybody wants to be a coach, everybody is online selling, I mean, reselling coaching programs, just
Shit.
rebranding them and
Yeah.
coaching the coaching, coaching the coaches. It's really just that. Um, how do your clients, I guess, what is like the process, thought process of your clients from deciding to reach out to you? And then what's a process that you take them through? And what are some kind of, I don't know, use cases
Yeah.
that you see a lot of times?
Yeah. So again, most people who work with me, I'm not the first coach they've hired. They've hired the cheaper coach. They've hired the more accessible coach. They've hired the person with like, who doesn't have boundaries, the person to just kind of talk to and reaffirm, which I understand the value of that for certain people for a certain period of time. And eventually you need to hear the thing you need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find that people typically first find the things that I post challenging. So I posted 3 times a day on Facebook every single day. I've maybe missed 4 or 5 days, like with big life events since March of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm the most consistent person you're going to see on the platform, and that's one of the big helps for me. Um, I've just done this so often that people can go back and see the track record. I have my clients all over my Facebook as well, so people can see people that they admire, look up to, are friends with, are connected with that are also clients of mine.
Yeah.
And so I think people find that I give the hard nudge with support. I think people either are way too soft and just let you get away with saying whatever you want and not challenging the things that you currently believe about yourself, or they just try to challenge everything to the point where nothing makes any sense and all you have is questions and you have no answers. And I don't find people can balance like the head and the heart side very easily. It's either the overly heart centered, nothing is real, nothing is actual, everything is just subjective, or very hard, very rigid, everything is exactly the way I see it and it's no other way. Um, and I explain that I help people learn how to think better. I help you become more efficient at analyzing your thoughts and creating an actual process to act out those thoughts along with your identity. So thoughts
Right.
become easy and small things become easy because, of course, I do this. This is who I am. And so when we can start reorganizing who you are and how you view yourself and the stories you tell yourself about your life, the people around you, what's happened to you, what you've done, you can then have more authorship over what you do from now on, because this is who I am. Of course, I believe this. This is who I am. Of course, I think this. This is who I am. Of course, I do this. This is who I am. So re-identifying and re-solidifying, one, choosing your identity most of the time for the first time ever. We realize just how little we've actually selected our identity, at least who I've told myself I am up to this point. And we start reclaiming kind of some authorship. So I help people identify this new thing. We have a whole document that I go through with people that kind of creates their new identity and then casts a new future or a new role model, and it's themselves in 20 years. I have them line up who that person is. I have them detail that person out, their daily life, their struggles, their difficulties, but where are they wiser than you? Where are they better than you? Where are they smarter than you? Where are they more successful than you? And then you get to attach yourself not to somebody, not to a celebrity or a coach or a Tony Robbins or whatever. You get to attach yourself to a version of you that is better than you. So it doesn't lie outside of you. It can't let you down because it's not a flawed other human. It's the better version of you. And so I
Right.
get people to create a relationship with that person. I have them write a letter to that person, and then I have them write a letter from that person to their current selves. And once you start doing that, I think you get this little like angel on your shoulder that is you.
Mm-hmm.
It can sound like me at first because I'm the person who's helping you through it, but eventually it becomes your own voice. Eventually it becomes your own conscious. And I help people kind of craft that for themselves.
That's amazing. It reminds me of almost like in marketing, right? Like creating your client
Yeah,
avatar
it's like an avatar.
and understanding, like what keeps them up at night and those kind of things so that it really is kind of just second nature when you're going through and creating things or products, whatever it is, that you're
Yeah.
doing it specifically for that person. This way you're just doing it for yourself. Um, so how much of who somebody wants to be are they in charge of? 100%?
Of who you want to be? Yes.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, I feel like there's parts of who we are that come along with nationality, just kind of like the way we grew up and the things that we know, not necessarily trauma, could be good things too.
Yeah.
But if someone were coming at you and saying, like, me in 20 years, and it's a total, opposite of what they are now,
Hmm.
is that attainable, or do you try and like say, all right, well, I see that you want to be, Marge Simpson,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
So we have to be able to craft a compelling story around it. This is where it's
Okay.
helpful to have me there. If you say you want to be the opposite, then you have to start showing me evidence as to where you're becoming the opposite of what you currently are. What are you willing to give up in order to attain that? And a lot of
Okay.
times it's a massive part of your ego or your current self or your trauma or what that person did to you or what these people said to you that you have to be willing to drop to actually go find that. So if you're going to tell me this long elaborate story, you then have to start showing me supporting evidence and really showing yourself supporting evidence, because otherwise
Um,
you'll just be delusional again and you won't believe the things you're saying, let alone anybody else.
I mean, the actions, always watch the actions, right?
That's
And
it.
that's in like in everything. Um, and so you said you work with a lot of men. Do you find that a lot of men are coming in and they're on this journey that they want to be masculine and they want to, just, but maybe they're not. Do not all men have it in them to be that?
I think all men have it in them. I don't think all men have the desire for it. And I don't think they also need to.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be special if everybody wanted it. Just like a soft, caring, loving, um, you know, not more effeminate, but like more passive masculine man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just centered and grounded without the rah rah. I think men should be able to have both. But there's some guys who like they want to live a passive existence, which I also think is okay. But that's also not everybody. I don't think that's most men, but I do think that's some men.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think again, it's getting in touch with like, who do you genuinely believe you actually are? And then get closer to that. So if that's who you think you are, start trying it out and see if this fits. Does this feel right? Does this work? Does this not work? So there is sort of a curiosity and exploration phase that is allowable, and it shouldn't be the playground forever. I think some people are I call them Peter Pans, like they're stuck in this perpetual playground of I can be
Totally.
everything and nothing all at once, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
silly.
How much buy-in do you have to have from the support? So, say the wife, the girlfriend, the parents. I guess in order for this person to be able, because I mean, like if this person's just coming to you and they're like, hey, you know what, I want to be, macho, protector provider, but they their whole life have been passive, and maybe they have an alpha wife, right? I don't like to use
Yeah.
the word alpha, but they have a more masculine wife who's kind of gets shit done. You would probably have to have the buy-in from her, right, for it to actually work.
Yeah, so it happens a lot actually. And I don't think you need the buy-in. I think you need to inform them.
Okay.
Because that's the thing. What if she's not on board yet? Because she hasn't seen this from you. A lot of times, and I work with these types of women. I work with entrepreneurial women as well who like have had to lean further into the masculine to further their careers, right? To be
Yeah.
taken seriously. And a lot of times they attract the more passive man. But if that man chooses that he wants to become more active, more dominant, um, she has to then also make a decision. Was I being this because I wanted to and this is who I am, or was I being this because I felt like I had to and I didn't have another choice? And that now that somebody is willing to take that space, will I allow myself to lean back? And the answer may be no. But if this is who he is and this is who she is and they no longer mesh, that has to be something that is worked through. What I find most of the time is she was there because she had to be. And that there were pieces of that she didn't need to carry with her anymore. And that she was actually eventually grateful. Because what happens at first is if you tell me you're making a change, like you've seen a bunch of times, if you tell me you're making a change and then I don't see it consistently, I just don't believe you.
Right.
That's where I have to talk to him about his responsibility. Your responsibility is calm confidence consistently, right? You have to just be this now. You don't get to have this day I feel like being it and this day I feel like I'm not. If this is genuinely who you are, if you're going to act out this identity that you say is consistent for you, you have to just be this at all times. Because as soon as she sees the lack of that, she will snap right back into what she was before.